Can the New South Wales Blues square the series tonight? 3 weeks ago, the Queensland fans yelled themselves hoarse, and tonight is the Blues fans' turn. The Sydney Football Stadium has been a sellout for the past 2 weeks, although the wet weather may keep a few away tonight. But those who are here will be cheering for the Blues for a revival to blot out that 6-4 defeat at Lang Park. They went into that game clear favourites and lost, but they line up tonight clear favourites once again. Good evening and welcome to Game 2 of the 1991 series, and a very good evening to my co-host, Peter Sterling. Well, can they square the series tonight, Peter?
I've got no doubt they can square the series, Ken, as long as they address a few things that went wrong in that first game. Must cut out the silly errors, and of course in these conditions must have a very good kicking game.
Tim Sheens has said through the week the forwards must go forward and often.
Well, that's where these games are won, Ken, and I was a little bit disappointed that we struggled to get the hard yards in that first game. Unless we can get a platform up front for the rest of the guys to work off, we're going to be in trouble again. But I think we'll see that tonight.
Injury has raised a couple of question marks over the Blues lineup, but just the same, it looks very formidable. And that is the New South Wales dressing room. Andrew Ettinghausen, Bradley Clyde there.
Yes, a couple of key players. Of course, plenty of eyes on Brad Clyde as how he will come up in this game after not a lot of football. The guys have had a long trip, really, coming from Brighton way, and I'm sure they'll be happy to be in the sheds. A lot of traffic congestion around this stadium, State of Origin night. They'll be happy to be in there getting themselves ready for action.
Ricky Stewart, they're really key there, and of course Andrew Ettinghausen at fullback, not usually his best position.
No, but a lot of room back there for him to use his speed, and I'm sure that we will see a lot of involvement from Andrew Ettinghausen. But again, we just saw Ricky Stewart on screen then. He's a key man tonight.
Well, Peter, they did say earlier on today there was a bit of a rumour floating around that Chris Johns was out of this side, but that's not true, apparently.
Well, we believe not. A little bit of ducks and drakes, I think. We heard that Johns may miss the match through a virus. That was news to the New South Wales players, so I'm sure we'll see Chris Johns take his place on the wing tonight.
OK, after that first loss at Lang Park, the Blues were bitterly disappointed. Many times they had Queensland on the rack, but squandered cleverly executed opportunities. The question is, have they learnt from the mistakes? Yes, you are so right, Benny. All that matters tonight is the scoreboard, and they know that. Predictably, the surprise loss at Lang Park had the critics out in force. We'll hear more from them shortly, but here's what former Kangaroo great and staunch Blues man Ray Price had to say. Yeah, well, how do you get to be a selector? But what Pricey is actually saying is if Queensland do win this tonight and tie up and take the series, the selectors have got to go.
Well, never backward in coming forward, our Pricey, is he? And he's expressed a point of view that a lot of people have expressed. But let's wait and see. You know, if the Blues can come out and win by 30 points, everything will be vindicated. But it will only be on the performance on the field that will tell.
Well, as much as the players have got to do the job, so have the selectors.
Oh, I agree with that, you know, but you're never going to please everybody, are you? You know, they've come up with what they believe is the best side for tonight. Again, that waits, you know, we have to wait and see if that will be the case. But we have such a vast array of talent here that you're never going to please everybody. Someone is always going to miss out.
You're so right about that, Peter. After the break, more from the Sydney Football Stadium for Game 2 of the State of Origin series. Good one. Mate, we got the Queensland dressing room first up.
Okay.
And then into the profile of the Queensland team. And then after, yeah, it's the same sort of order again. Okay, mate, not a problem. Okay. Okay, mate. We're going to do some live pictures first. This. Hold it around here and that. Then I'll throw it to the dressing room. Then we pick it up. Okay. And when Wally does his best, nobody does it quite as well.
No, he's been here. He has been unpopular, but only because he's hurt us very badly on the scoreboard. And we saw 3 players there who were great players for the Maroons in that first game. Martin Bella, tireless up front. Gary Larson, a great debut. And Lewis just injecting his class whenever needed.
Now, Peter, if there's any sort of a weakness in this Queensland side, it's hard to sort of level it at Mal Meninga and Peter Jackson, but they are 2 very, very big centres. They've got to turn around. I reckon there's a chance out there for the Blues if they take their opportunities.
Well, we did speak about that before the first game, and we did create some opportunities early on. We saw Reddinghausen and Alexander into the clear, and it was only great work by the fullback Paul Hoff that stopped them from scoring tries, and those breaks were made in the centre, so I would expect New South Wales will aim some of their attack there again tonight.
Now, this kicking game, Benny Elias, Ricky Stewart, what's going to happen there? Who's going to take what role?
Well, it was very interesting. I spoke to Ricky Stewart over the weekend, and he said the reason that Elias didn't play a great role in that kicking game in the first match was because they tended to be kicking from their 25 only for distance. Elias hasn't got a big kicking game, but a very accurate one. So what Ricky was saying is important that the New South Wales forwards have to get out of what they call the red zone, that 25 metres, and be kicking from closer to halfway than closer to their goal line. If they can do that, you'll see Elias come into his own in that department.
All right, we'll be interested to see if they put that theory into action here tonight at the Sydney Football Stadium. More right after the break. Jimmy Barnes singing up a storm here tonight. Lay down your gun, and of course he's ready for this big game, as we all are. It's only a few minutes away. Looking forward to it tremendously. And calling the game tonight will be Darrel Eastlake, Ray Warren and Peter Sterling, with expert sideline comments from a former Blues captain, Gavin Miller, and the man who would have been first picked in the maroon jumper, the injured Bob Lindner. Down on the sideline, the voice of State of Origin football getting a huge reaction. Darrel Eastlake with Gavin Miller.
Well, thanks, Kenny. There's no doubt about it. This ground is starting to build its own sort of character. There's plenty of chance going on for the Blues already. Well, Gavin, this side, unfortunately, is being judged by the selectors rather than their ability.
Well, that's right. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of criticism about the team that has been selected. I think they have gone for reputation rather than form players, Darrell. But overall, if they play to their potential, I think New South Wales will come up with a win.
I've got to ask you this. Do you think Queensland plan their side better than we do?
Well, it's very, very tough for the New South Wales selectors because they've got such an array of players to pick from, and it's very, very difficult to come up with a successful combination when there's so many players to pick from.
Okay, well, a wet ground, and I know the Queenslanders are happy to have that. Here at training the other day, they said the wetter it gets, the better it gets for them.
Well, very much so. I think that the Queensland side will look to dominate through their forwards. What they'll do, because this ground is not conducive for open, free-flowing football, it'll tighten right up, and Lewis, Meninga and Jackson will come in and help the forwards, and that's got to be an advantage to the Queensland team.
Well, there he is, Gavin Miller's opinion. Of course, Gavin Miller's captained the Blues under similar situation. But Ray Warren, what's Bobby Lindner's thoughts?
Well, thanks, Darrell. Though there's been a lot of speculation and criticism in some quarters about the job done by the selectors for the Blues, on the other side of the coin, the Maroons have had a pretty easy job. Bobby Lindner joins me now, and it has been a fairly settled outfit.
Well, it appears that way, Ray, but it's amazing what a difference a win can make. Before the first State of Origin, Queensland selectors were coming under a fair bit of criticism in some quarters from selecting the team that they picked, but they come up with a win, and you know, the tide has turned, and New South Wales selectors are undergoing the criticism this time.
Does it surprise you, coming off a loss, that New South Wales are going into this match as a raging hot favourite?
Not really. I've never been in a Queensland team that's come to Sydney and been starting favourites. They've always been the underdogs, and it may be the reason why Queensland have such a successful record in these State of Origin matches in Sydney.
It's not just unique to Lang Park either. They've played here at the Sydney Football Stadium 4 times, and Queensland have taken home the bacon 3 of those 4 occasions. That's it from down here. Ken, back to you.
Thank you, Ray. Yes, they really do stick together, the Queensland side. We'll see how good they stick together tonight. We're only a few minutes away from Game 2, back after the break. Welcome back to the Sydney Football Stadium. The mob are ready for this game. It's just a few minutes away before the players step out onto the arena. A terrific crowd considering the ordinary weather in the last few hours. We've had a few heavy showers over the Sydney Football Stadium, but it has been a sellout for the last couple of weeks. So those who've got the tickets have made sure they've turned up. There's a few others, I guess, who've gone home to watch in the comfort of their lounge room. And there we see the great wave going around this magnificent stadium. Sterlo, it's got a terrific atmosphere, this stadium, hasn't it?
Yes, it doesn't obviously have the tradition of a Lang Park or a Sydney cricket ground, but we are a couple of years down the track now. We're getting the good crowds here. We see the crowd really getting involved in the festivities, and I'm sure that will spill over into the game, and they'll give great support to this Blues side.
I don't know that they feel the same passion as the Queenslanders do. I hope they do tonight, because the Blues need them.
Well, it does make a difference to support, and I suppose that is borne out by the extent of the success of the Queensland side at Lang Park. Maybe down here we're a little bit used to winning. That should change, I suppose, because we haven't been as successful as we would have liked over the last few years. But of course, for many, many years, New South Wales were far superior to the Queensland side. Maybe we've got a little bit blasé.
The pitch out there, it's a fairly good pitch too. I mean, it hasn't been that affected by this wet weather.
No, we've had two junior representative fixtures played. I did watch both of those games, and the guys didn't seem to have any problems with the conditions. The ball handling was very good. So, I don't expect that to be too much of a problem out there tonight. If we see mistakes, it'll either be from pressure or from, just from the guys making a simple error.
Yeah, well, they are ready. The Blues aren't too far away from coming down that tunnel. You heard the crowd there yelling out Blues, Blues, Blues just a few moments ago. It's countdown time. It's the moment when this New South Wales side really have their mettle tested, because they need to square this series to take it to Lang Park and make it into a decider. And there's a lot of pressure on the selectors. There's a lot of pressure on a couple of players that have surprised the critics in as far as their inclusion in this team. And I guess it's nice to see Michael O'Connor in his rightful position, Peter.
Well, he's had a great season so far with the Manly club in the centre position. I thought that his opportunities were very limited in the first game. Back in the centre position, he'll be able to get involvement, and here come the guys now.
Here come the guys, and here comes Darrel Eastlake.
Kenny will outcome the Blues, and have a listen to this crowd right behind them. We've had 2 lousy days of weather. We've had rain right up to this match tonight, but they've turned out in their thousands. Benny Elias leads out the Blues, and there's no run, there's no fuss, there's a slow jog and a walk. O'Connor, Roberts, so important for him and Roach. John's a man with a cloud over him today, but he's there. Gillespie will have to do a good job tonight. Cliffy Lyons. So the Tooheys Blues are out in front of their home ground, trailing by 1 match. And remember, only one side has come back and won the series after losing the first game. That's Queensland in 1987. Ricky Stewart, will he run tonight? Well, Ray Warren, a fantastic atmosphere here now. Considering the weather we've had, it's a heavy ground, but gee, everybody's pumped up, aren't they?
Yeah, they certainly are, Darrell, no question about that. Ian Roberts, who was one of our better performers at Lang Park when we went down just a fortnight ago, 6 points to 4. Rod Wishart, the 22-year-old from the Illawarra Steelers, what a night for him. Michael O'Connor and Andrew Eddinghausen. Just waiting for the Maroons to come down the tunnel now. Andrew with the number 1 on his back tonight. Big night for Rod Wishart. He played State of Origin in 1990. But he's back tonight in the number 5, and I'll be shocked if he hasn't got the goal-kicking duties.
Mark Geyer, expect a lot from here. Here he comes, not to Lang Park, not the Emperor of Lang Park, but Wally Lewis. Listen to the boos when he hits this ground. Won't faze the Emperor, let me tell you. Wally the King, just that'll motivate him if anything. But look at them, there's G the defender, Jackson, Wallace the hooker. Yeah, Mark Murray, of course, so successful. Now the coast of Eastern Suburbs in the grey jacket. Mark Murray played 15 Origin games. Don't be surprised to see Paul Vaughton there as well on the bench. And the Queensland management have decided to sit on the sideline of the ground, not high in the stand. So Wally Lewis comes out. Larson, fantastic performance from him in game 1, his debut game. He certainly, in many eyes, was the man of the match. Alan Langer, well, he's the man with a bag full of tricks, right?
Yes, Gary Larson there on camera in 13. What a marvellous game he had at Lang Park. Mal Meninga, the try scorer. And Martin Bella, who led the way for Queensland, the only international in their pack of forwards, and he kept making that impression over the advantage line and cracking that New South Wales forward defence.
Players getting set for the huddles now. Will stand by for the national anthem. The sung this night by the cast members of Jerry's Girls. And the girls in their period costume from the show, there they are, and they'll be singing the national anthem as we prepare for one hell of a game of football. supported here in Sydney now. Now the head-to-head, Queensland, New South Wales. Well, Queensland 19 wins to New South Wales 12. But at the Sydney Football Stadium, Queensland 3 to New South Wales 1. Surprising stat, that one, Peter Sterling?
Yeah, it's a little bit surprising, but Queensland certainly have played well down here, and they'll be looking to extend that record that they do hold over the Blues. I did think we won the singing stakes there, so maybe that'll be a sign of things to come later on.
David Manson, the 36-year-old district manager for Coles and Fossies, 4th Origin match, the 3rd at the Sydney Football Stadium. He's in charge tonight.